We are picking up on the last line on Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Where are we? We are starting with, so we had just left off that Achashverosh had asked Mordechai for advice because he wanted to get Esther to reveal where she was from, and he said you should have other women come in because women get jealous of other women, and she still didn't say anything. So the Gemara says now, so now we're going to say, Amar Rabbi Lazar, my Dechsev, turning to Yud Gimel Amud Beis. It says in the pasuk, "Lo yigra mitzadik einav," that Hashem doesn't ever forget the tzaddikim that He has. What's that talking about? So b'tzchar tznius shahaisa ba b'Rachel zachs v'yatz mimenu shal, that because of the tznius that Rachel had, and we're going to learn, it doesn't mean that she was modest in terms of her appearance. It means she was modest in terms of that she was able to keep a secret and be able to spare someone else's feelings. So because of the tznius that she displayed, so she was zocha to have that shawl came out of her. Because of the tznius that Shaul had, which we're going to say that story also, so he was zocha that Esther should come out from him. So what happened? My tznius what was the tznius that she had? When Yaakov met Rachel, so he says that I am the brother of your father. So Gemara asks, he wasn't the brother of Lavan, he was the nephew of Lavan. So why did he say that he was the brother? Yaakov said to Rachel, I want you to marry me. So Armalei, and I'm happy to marry you. Mihu, Abramohu, my father is a trickster. And he's not going to allow you to, he's going to try to trick you when it comes to this marriage. So Amarla, so he said to her, Achavan Abramos, and actually the Agos Abach changes it, he makes a big change here. He says, I Ramayhu Achav Anabramos. So Yaakov wasn't saying I am also someone that's a trickster. He's saying if he's going to try to trick me, then I could go toe to toe with him in terms of a trickery. So he said, so now Rachel's getting nervous because here she thought Yaakov was a tzaddik and he had proposed to her, and she says, I'm going to marry this tzaddik, and now he's saying, oh, don't worry about it. If your father wants to play games, I could play games also. She's getting very nervous about that because that's not a good personality trait. So she said, is a tzaddik allowed to be able to do that? So he said, yeah, Amalei in. It says in the pasuk, Im navar titvar v'im ikesh titapel, that it says when you're dealing with someone that's a righteous person, you should deal with them in the proper way. And when you're dealing with someone who's a rasha or he's a crooked person, then you should also make sure to treat them accordingly. So Amarla umayrim you. So what's he going to try to do? Amarle isla achsa de kashisha minoi. I have a sister that's younger than me, and v'lo mitzavli and mikama. And he's not going to want that the younger sister should get married before the older sister should get married. So meaning Rachel say, I have a sister Leah, and I don't want and he's not going to want that Leah should get married first. So Mashallah Simanim. So Yaakov gave some Simanim. He gave either a password or some sort of signal that Rachel would be able to communicate with him to say. And again, I guess because they were being very tznius in terms of their behavior, that he wouldn't even known who she was when they're getting married and they're going into the bedroom, like that he wouldn't know who she was. But apparently he gave her Simanim so that she would be so that Yaakov would be able to say to Rachel, whatever the password was, and she'd be able to respond accordingly. So Kimat Laila, so when the night came, Amra Hashta Michsafta Achsai. My sister's going to get embarrassed because Yaakov's going to ask her what the password is. She's not going to know what it is, and she's going to get very embarrassed that it's going to come out that she's not me, and Yaakov's going to kick her out. So what did she do? Mr. Nihul Nahile, so she gave the simanim, she gave it to Leah, and then it says in the pasuk, it says in the pasuk that in the morning and suddenly it was Leah. So what does that mean? Are you saying that until now it was not Leah? So what happened? Because he gave the signal, Yaakov had no idea that he was with Leah and not with Rachel. So because of that, because Rachel gave the simanim over, he didn't know. It was only in the morning when it was light out, and he says, oh, wait a second, you're not Rachel, you're Leah. So lefichach, because Rachel acted so tzniusly that she was so concerned about the feelings, she was tznius in terms of the feelings of her sister. So zachsav yatzim menu shal, so shal came out from her. Mat tznius haisav shal. What was shal tznius in? Dichsev es devar hamalucha lo higid lo asher amar Shmuel. That he didn't say, because there's a story that Shal went out and he was looking for his donkeys, so he couldn't find his donkeys. So they said, "Oh, go to Shmuel. Shmuel's a navi. He can help you out, right?" So like a navi is like that was also like besides getting nevuah, he would also be able to hey, my donkeys are missing. Can you help me out there? So he went to Shmuel, and Shmuel told him where the donkeys were. And by the way, he also told him, you're going to be the next Melech in Klal Yisrael. So when Shaul came back to his uncle, he just, his uncle said to him, where were you? So he just told him, I went to Shmuel Hanavi to find out where the donkeys were. But he didn't say anything about the fact that he's supposed to be the king. So because he was acting in a tznius manner in that way, so therefore he was zocha that Zachav Yasamenu Esther, so therefore Esther came out from him. Okay, so the Gemara continues now. Rabbi Lazar, Kashadosh Baruch Hu posek gedula la'adam, posek levanav l'nevanav atzov kol daros. When Hashem gives gedula, when He gives greatness to a person, it continues through his children, through all his great grandchildren, and all through his descendants. Shenemar v'yoshivim l'netzach v'yigbo, that it stayed forever. V'him hegis daito, but if a person becomes a Baal Gaiva, becomes conceited from the fact that he's got gedula and he doesn't use it properly, Hakadosh Baruch Hu mashpil, Hashem throws him down for there. Shenemar v'misurim bezakim, that they're going to go down in chains, which means that the gedula is going to be taken away from them. So Gemara continues, Mordechai Esther Asa, that Esther did what Mordechai wanted him to do. So what was that? Amar Rav Yirmiyah, again a very it's just a hard Gemara to learn, but Amar Rav Yirmiyah, Shahai Samara Dam Nida l'Chacham, that she would show the Dam Nida that she had to the Chachamim to find out Kashir Haisa Bam Navito, when she was with Achashverosh. Amar Rabba Bar Lema, that what does that mean? Shahaisa Omedes Mecheko Shel Achashverosh, V'Tovelas Yosheves Mecheko Shel Mordechai. She would be with Achashverosh. She would get up from Achashverosh. She would go to the mikvah, and then she would go to be with Mordechai. So that's what it means, that she would always do what Mordechai wanted. That she would make sure that she was Petahara when she did that. The Gemara continues, that in those days Mordechai was sitting at the gate of the king, and Bigsan and Sesh were plotting against the king to kill Achashverosh. So Rabbi Yochanan, Hiksif HaKadosh Baruch Hu Adan Al Avadav, Hashem made it there was a master that got angry at his servants, Lasos Ritzon Tzadik, Umanu Yosef, and that was Yosef. That Hashem made it that Paro got angry with the Sarah Ophim, the Sarah Mashkin, with his servants, threw them into jail, and the whole reason why that was so that Yosef could interpret the dreams for them, and eventually he could be spared. So Hashem made it that a king got angry with the servants, so that it would benefit a tzaddik. Shenemar v'shami tanu nar iri. Then they told Paro about Yosef being there, and Avadam al Adonai, and he got that the servants got angry at the king. Lasos neitz tzaddik, to make a nace for the tzaddik. Come on, Mordechai to see by Ivada Hadavar Mordechai, that Mordechai found out. So what happened? What was the story? Rabbi Yochanan, Bigsan v'Sarah Shnei Tarsiyaim Hav, that they were from Tarsus. The Hayumisapim Belashin Tursi, and they were speaking Tursi, which apparently no one else that was there spoke this language. From the day that this woman, that Esther, came into the palace, we're not able to sleep at night. Why? Because Achashverosh was so taken with Esther that every night he would call her into his chambers to be with her, and then he would get very thirsty. So they constantly, these Bigsan and Shesh, who were there, his attendants, they had to constantly take care of him. So they said, we're not able to get, this is crazy. So what did he say? Let's poison him. So he's going to die, and then we're going to be able to live, in peace. And they were speaking out loud because they figured no one else understands what this language is. They didn't know that Mordechai was one of the members of the Sanhedrin, and because he was a member of the Sanhedrin, one of the requirements to be on that Sanhedrin was you should know the 70 languages, so that if someone came to do a court case, you wouldn't have to hear it through an interpreter, you'd be able to understand directly what it is. So Amar Lo, so Big Son, one of them said to the other one, but we don't serve at the same time, we're not doing the same activity, so how are we going to be able to do this plot? Amar Lo, I'll take care of my job, and I'll take care of your job, so you're able to go and get the poison to put it into the bowl. That they went to find them, and they saw that one of them was not at the post, and then they were able to investigate and find out that indeed that Bigsan and Sesh were plotting to kill Achashverosh. The Gemara continues, the Megillah continues, Achar Dvar Me'ela. So what is this referring to? Amar Rava Achar Shebara HaKadosh Baruch Hu Refu Lamaka, that it was after that Hashem first put the Refu, and he put the cure before we got struck with the plague. That what was it? Damrei Shlakish, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Makis Es Yisrael Elim Kain Bari Lahem Refu Atzchila, that Hashem does not bring a hit. He doesn't punish Klal Yisrael unless there's already a refuah in place beforehand. Shenamar Kirfai Yisrael V'nigla Avon Ephraim. That it says that when I First, heal Klal Yisrael, and then I'm going to show what the chet was. But it's not like that with the other nations of the world. The first Hashem hits them, and only then does it create the refuah. Shenemar, Unagav Hashem es Mitzrayim, Nagav for that Hashem's going to hit them, and then He's going to heal them. So just when I was listening to Rabbi Silber, he was saying the shir over. He said that it should be some sort of when a person's going through a tough time, and they're waiting for Yeshua, they have to realize that Yeshua is already there. Hashem has sent Yeshua. It's just maybe it hasn't revealed itself first, but Hashem doesn't send anything bad to us before there's already a refuah in place for us to be taken care from it. The Megillah continues, Vayivez Mordechai, Vayivez Ve'enav L'shlach Yav Mordechai Levado. So it says that Haman wanted to, and I think we're going to go through more of the story of why Haman wanted to, what he had against Mordechai. It's a great story. But Haman wanted to kill Mordechai. So what happened? Amar Rava B'tchila B'Mordechai Levado. First he wanted to just kill Mordechai. Then he wanted to kill the nation of Mordechai. Umano Rabbanon, he wanted to kill the Chacham that were surrounding him. And then and then Haman expanded that plan, and he wanted to wipe out all of the Jews. It says that he did Purim. Again, it means it's a lot. It's a lottery that he did to find out what were they going to do this. So he made a lottery. So Tana Kivin Shenafal Pur B'Chodesh Adar. Once it fell out in the month of Adar, Samach Simcha Gdola. Haman was very happy. Amar Nafali Pur B'Yerach Shemeis B'Moshe. That the day of the lottery fell out in the month that Moshe Rabbeinu died. So he thought to himself, it's very fortuitous that if Moshe Rabbeinu died in the month of Adar, it must not be a great month for the Bnei Yisrael. So there he was very happy that was the day that it fell out, because he thought, okay, my plan's going to be successful. Lo ha'yodea sheb'shiva ba'adar meis of Shiva Adar Nola, but he did not know that Moshe Rabbeinu not only died on the 7th of Adar, but he was also born on the 7th of Adar. So he didn't realize that was going to throw a bit of a wrench into his plan.
Is the point that a birthday is a good thing? Is that what the Gemara
is
reporting?
Yeah. Birthday is a good thing, and he didn't know that. Again, why he didn't know that? They didn't have calendars. They didn't have Hallmark calendars out there, where everyone had cards that they were sending. But it's like people know when someone died, right, but you don't necessarily know what their birthday was.
Because, in general, I never heard that a birthday is a good thing. People.
I think the Lubavitcher Rebbe says that the birthday is the day that Hashem decided that the world can't exist without you.
Correct.
So that's
this must be where
it could be that's one of the sources that he could get it from. Yeah. So now Haman is speaking to Achashverosh, and he's trying to convince him that he wants to kill the Jews. So he said to him, Yeshno Am Echad, that there's one nation. Amar Rava, Leka Diyada Lishna Bisha Kahaman. No one knew how to speak Lashon Hara the way that Haman did. Why? Amar Le Ta Nichlenu. He said, Haman says to Achashverosh, let's go wipe out the Jews. So Amar Le, Mistafina me'elokav I'm afraid of their God. I'm afraid of Hashem, that I don't want him to do to me like he did to Belshazzar, right? We had the Gemara that says that Belshazzar went and he took the Kalim from the Beis HaMikdash out, and that night he died. So he says, I don't want to kill the Jews because I'm afraid that Hashem's going to come after me. So Amar Le, Yashnu. Because he says, Yashnu Am Echad, who's Yashnu means they're sleeping. Yashnu mean a mitzvahs. The Jews Hashem's not going to come to avenge them because they're sleeping. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're sleeping from the mitzvahs. So Amar Le is Bu Rabbanan. So Achashverosh said still. But you still have the Rabbanan, the rabbis are still doing what they're supposed to be doing. So Amar Le, Am Echad. No, they're one nation. I'm sorry. They're one nation, meaning the Rabbanim are also not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So therefore, it's okay to go ahead and try and to kill the Jews. Hashem's not going to defend them. So then Haman says to Achashverosh, Shema Tomar, Karchani Osav Malchuscha, that maybe you're making like a bald spot in the kingdom, because if you take one entire nation and wipe it out, so there's going to be like a gap. Wherever they were living, there's going to be a gap there. It's going to be like a desolate area. So he said, Mufuzar Haim Bein Amim, they're scattered throughout the nation. So it's not like if you kill all of them, that there's going to be an empty gap here, because you're missing a Jew here, you're missing a Jew there, but it's not going to be like they're all concentrated in one place.
It's not like Hamas wants to say.
What?
It's not like Hamas wants to say that they're just going to do,
Well, yeah. Oh, maybe. So he says, Shema Tomar Isanam. Now maybe you're going to say we can't kill the Jews because we get benefit from them being in our nation. They're productive people. So he said, Meforad, Kipreda Zu Sheina Osa Predos. It says Meforad, which means they're like a donkey. That just like a donkey is not able to have any children, is not able to give birth to anything, so too, they're not producing anything. They're not doing anything for the country. Maybe you're going to say that there's a small country of them and it's going to leave, this is similar to what he said before, that like it's going to leave an entire province empty. He says, again, they're scattered throughout everywhere. There's not going to be like one concentration of Jews that it's going to be missing anything. And then he said, with the same Shonas B'Kolam, that their halachos, their laws are different from anyone. Why? That they won't eat from anything from our food. They're not going to marry our women. They're not going to let their women marry us. And not only that, that they say the whole time when it's time to do work, they say Shabbos. Rashi says Shabbos Hayom, Pesach Hayom, meaning when we have to take off from work, when someone gets hired for a new job and they say, okay, pretty much for the month of September and October, I'm going to be out like half the time. So that's what he's saying. He's saying like when it's time to do work, they're saying Shabbos Hayom, that it's Friday, I got to go home, I got to take off for work. They say Pesach is coming, or Sukkot, or Shavuos. So they're always making excuses not to work. And there's no reason why they should that the king should leave them over. Because they eat and they drink, and then they embarrass the kingdom. How? Let's say a fly would fall into the cup of one of the people that was drinking it. So what would they do? They would take their fingers and they would take the fly out and they would drink the wine. But if you, Achashverosh the king, if you would touch the wine with your finger, they're not going to drink the wine, they're going to spill it out. So he says, so first of all, you see from here that the power of Lashon Hara, because everything that Haman said was true. I mean, I don't want to say everything, but not about meaning that he was right that we wouldn't drink the wine.
But how did he know that halacha?
Oh, first of all, because again, I think we're going to get to it. Haman and Mordechai used to be close, so he probably learned from observing what Mordechai was doing. So we're going to see that Haman was well versed in what in what Jews do, because he used to be with Mordechai. So the Gemara says. So what happened is he says Imam Melech Tov Yikasiv la'abdam v'asher asalav kikar kaziv. He says if it's good for you, I want you to why don't you go ahead and I'll give you 10,000 gold silver gold coins, and we'll wipe out the Jews. So Amrei Shlakish, Goliv Yadulif Mamisha Amar V'Haya Olam Sha'asid Avan L'Hiskol Shkolam Al Yisrael. That Hashem knew eventually that Haman was going to want to give the money to pay over for to destroy Klal Yisrael. Lefichach Hiktim Shkilei and L'Shkolav. So therefore Hashem created the mitzvah of Machatzis HaShekel before Haman was going to go to Achashverosh and say, I'll give you 10,000 Ashkalim. And that's why we say that on the first of Adar we start to do for both Shkalim and Kalayim, so that the schus of Machatzis HaShekel that we do is going to overcome the shekel that Haman wanted to pay to Achashverosh for the right to wipe out the Jews. Okay, we will stop here and continue tomorrow night.